Okay, great. So, yeah, I've kept the mics muted for now because last week there was some, disturbance in the background. So please communicate using the chat. I hope that's okay for everyone. And I can see that people are still joining. So let's wait for a few more minutes before we start the class. Okay, great. Okay, people are still joining, but I think we can slowly start the class. So I'll share my screen. 1 second. Okay, fine. So let me share my screen. Um, I hope my screen is visible to everybody. So hello everyone. Good evening and thanks for joining. So welcome to the second session of this problem solving sessions that we're going to have as part of your NPTEL course on the joy of computing using Python. So my name is Zenia. I am a astrophysics PhD student and Prime Minister's Research Fellow at the Indian Institute of Science. And as I explained you last week, I use Python not almost, actually every day when I do my research. And that's why I'm, happy to share how Python works with all of you so that you can also start to use Python in whatever application that you want to do. So some logistics things because people ask about this, and I will explain this now, but then at the end also. So first of all, these sessions are not really to teach you Python. They are for solving problems. That's why it's problem solving session. You have your lectures, your recorded lectures that your professor has provided for watching the videos and understanding the concepts. These sessions are more so that we can solve some problems which are related but not exactly your assignment problems, so that it becomes easier for you to solve your assignment, right? So these are live sessions so that you can get your doubts cleared on the spot. So that's why I told you last week that if you have any topic that you particularly want me to cover in this week's lectures, then maybe I can you can mail me. This is my mail ID. You will find it in the slides, and I can do and I can cover the same. But please don't mail me on Sunday night and expect me to do incorporate that concept on Monday's class. If you're mailing me for a particular concept, please do it a few days in advance, at least by Thursday, because I prepare these slides over the weekend, and then it becomes difficult if you ask me to incorporate something last minute. Okay. The other thing is that all the slides and also the video recordings of these lectures will be provided to you. So the video recordings are available on YouTube and the slides are available on Google Drive. There's a Google Drive for it. I think the links are already made available to you. But in case you guys have any question with the links, this is my website. I have a page in my website where I maintain all the links, all the relevant links for our course, and you can just bookmark this URL and you can go and you will find both the slides and the recordings in one place. Okay, so I am going to just share the link with you. So just save this link. If you go to this link, I can show you. So as you can see, you get the meeting link, you get the recordings of the sessions in YouTube. So this is basically last week's session. As you can see, Joy of Computing using Python. And I will be uploading the videos after every session. And the slides of the session are here. So here, if you go, you will find the week one material. Today, we'll also be doing some programs. So after the session, I will also be uploading the programs in the Google Drive. Okay. So let me just go back to this. Right. So again, as I was saying, these sessions are more for, for you to interact, get your doubts cleared, and have some hands-on experience with solving programs and problems. So you have your assignment problems, which I hope you're all doing very sincerely. And just to get you, if you get stuck somewhere, you can use these lectures as an opportunity to solve them. So again, please don't write to me asking me about specific details of your assignment. That's not my job. That's your job. Because as I said last week multiple times, when you're learning to program, you can watch lectures, you can watch videos, you can read books, but ultimately you have to sit and write programs yourself. Okay. So make sure that whenever you see a new concept in Python in the lectures or anywhere else, you try to write it yourself. And by write the program, I don't mean just copy pasting something from Chat GPT or something like that. I do mean sitting and writing each line on your own, because when someone else is explaining, the logic will seem very obvious, but when you sit and write it only, you will get so many doubts and questions in your mind about how it actually works. So these sessions also, the way that I structure these sessions is the third Python class that I'm taking in this capacity. So the way that I structure these sessions is I will show you the question and I will give you some time to work it out on your own. So it's okay if you don't have it for this class, but definitely from next class onwards, please come attend the class on a laptop or on a system that can run Python, so that you can on the side run the programs and try to write the programs during the class itself. We may not be able to cover all the programs I want to discuss, but even if we cover two programs and you write the program yourself, that is better than just me sitting and talking about 10 programs and explaining them to you, because that you can find anywhere. So I really want you guys to be very sincere, and because that is the way that you will get the most out of this course. If you want to get the most out of a programming course, you do need to sit and do the programming yourself. Okay. So this is about the class. As I said, all the links will be available. And if you have any queries about Python or about this course, you can mail me on my mail ID, which is available in the slides as well. Okay, I would appreciate it if you don't ask me about, how to solve this assignment, how to solve that assignment, because I will just simply not respond to those kinds of questions. The other thing is, right now I've kept everyone muted because last week there was some continuous disturbance. I think for now, let's do it because there's large number of people in the call, like 150 people, so it might be difficult. Later, if you find that it's better for you to speak, then you can also write that in the chat and we can try it. But last week, when I kept the mic control on, there was continuous disturbance and it was very irritating for the class, right? So for now, let's keep the mics muted. I hope this is okay with everyone. Other than that, I think that's fine. So we can move on to the class. Unless anyone has some immediate doubts right now, we can move to the class. Okay, what is happening? I just want to go to 1 second. Yeah, I'm just checking. Sorry. The chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. So let's move on to the class. So as I said, from today's class onwards, last week, because it was an introductory session, we didn't actually do any programming. But today's class onwards, we will also be doing some programs. So we'll first solve some MCQs, which are like your weekly quizzes or assignments. And then we'll be doing some programs, which will be like your programming assignments. So please sincerely participate in both so that you get the best experience. Okay. So this class is based on the week 2 lecture. So I'll just monitor the chat on the side on my phone. So please, if you have any questions, put it in the chat and I'll be able to see it immediately. Okay. So yeah, so this class is based on the week 2 lectures, and this is like a recap of what you saw in the week 2 lectures. So in the week 1 lectures, you were mostly introduced to programming and what it's all about. But this class, you actually saw how to write your first program, for example, how these different environments or there are these different ways in which you can program in Python. So you can use you can use Anaconda, which gives you all these packages together. You can use Spider to write your programs. And then writing your first program, I hope all of you have done. Then you saw generally about if conditions, loops, print statements, variables. These are all different components that go into writing a program. So someone says week 2, I am not able to understand how to do the assignment. If you have a more specific question, please put it in the chat. But other than that, I don't know. Okay, fine. So this is a slide that I'm going to be showing in yeah, someone is asking about the sprite. Okay, so this week we are not talking about Scratch. Maybe if I have time, we can talk about this at the end, but let's focus on this week's content first. Other than that, I think I did this in last week's class. You can go and check the video about this. Let's not deviate too much from the week 2 content because we have a lot to cover today. About, yeah, again, about the week 2 assignment, person who was asked about the week 2 assignment, if you have a specific question, please ask. Please don't ask vague question like, I don't know how to do the assignment. That is very general. That doesn't tell me what your problem actually is. I am not able to understand how to compile and run test cases provided. Okay, I saw this mail by a few of you who had this question. Let's try to come to this at the end. But again, I would just strongly recommend that you can also put this in the discussion forum. The way this works is I am an external person who's here to solve some problems. But if you are having some issue with the website or with submission or with compilation, I don't have access to the site or access to the assignments that you submit. I am not the one who checks your assignments. So if you have questions like that, you should please go ahead and bring it up in the discussion forum. We can try to figure it out in the class at the end if we have time. You haven't lost anything. All the videos are recorded. I'm sure all the recordings are available to you. You can just go and watch them in your own time. Okay, it's better to keep up with the class so that you can learn it at a good pace and you don't get overwhelmed with information. But don't worry about missing a class or two. You can always make it up. Okay, fantastic. So let's move on. So as I said, this is a slide that I'm going to be showing in every class that we have. Because I think it's very important that all of you should not only write code, you should write good code. So what do I mean by good code? Good code is one that is readable, it is understandable. It's a code such that once you write it and you give it to someone else who knows some basic coding, they can understand what the program does without too much explanation. So how do you do that? You have to choose meaningful variable and function names. Don't just name your variables XYZ ABC or something. Name it something like name, phone number, whatever is you're using for the particular function or for the particular use case that you have. Apart from that, write comments so that you explain what the program does in a few lines. Use indentation. Of course, in Python, indentation, which is the spacing, is very important. If you don't space your lines correctly, the program doesn't even run. And consistent formatting. Document your things, write README files, write notes on your program so that you can have the yeah, so that it's clear to you. And remember, this does not alone help other people around alone, but actually it can even help you. It might be that you write a program, 1 year later you want to see that program. It has happened many times that you will not even understand what you had written. You don't remember why this variable is there, what this was doing. If you write this, you will get a idea of this. So I can see some questions in the chat. So once again, I am telling, I am not in charge of the assignments. I don't correct the assignments. I am an external person that comes to solve the problems. If you are having any doubts or queries about assignments, submission, exam, other things, please bring it up in the discussion forum in the NPTEL course itself. There are some particular TAs who are there for clearing these questions alone. Is that fine? Okay, great. So, I hope this is fine. And recording, I had already explained in the beginning of the class. I'll tell again at the end of the class. Okay. So, firstly, let's let's look at if-else versus loops. Okay. So, what is the difference between an if-else statement and a loop? Can anyone put it in the chat, like in a few lines? So, what is the main difference between an if-else and a loop, or the fundamental difference? Loops are basically iteration. If else is condition, and we use for and while for loop. Loop iterates. Exactly. So if else condition, loop repeats. So exactly. So an if else condition checks a condition once and executes it, right? If something is true, it executes something. If something is else is true, it executes something. Whereas a loop is something where you don't want to check a condition once, you want to keep on checking that condition, or you want to keep repeating the condition. So whenever you have a repetition, iteration, whatever, all these things mean the same thing. But basically, when you have multiple, when you want to run the same code multiple times based on a condition, when you want to check a condition multiple times, that's when you use a loop. Okay. So this is basically, these are called flow diagram. These are called flow diagrams, block diagrams, basically, where you get the program in a diagrammatic sense. So here you can see that if some condition is true, then the body. This is how you write an if condition. So start, we check if a condition is true. If it's not, it goes to some other code or it ends. If it's yes, it executes some condition. Whereas in a while condition, you can see that, does the condition evaluate to true? Yes, means it keeps on going until it becomes false. And all loops work the same thing. Yeah, exactly. So I think all of you have got this understood. So basically, a loop is when we need to repeat a block statement multiple times. And this is one of the main things that computers have that makes them so powerful, right? As I said last week, if I want to write 1 to 1 million, as a human being, I have to sit and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. till 1 million, and that's a long process. For a computer, I can just write 2 lines, right? While n is less than 1 million, print n, for example. That will just give me that exact thing, because it will just run the print statement over and over again 1 million times without me having to sit and write it 1 million times. So this is a loops are one of the ways in which computers can really save our time. Okay, great, fine. So in loops itself, some of you had already said this in your answers. In loops itself, you have different kinds of loops. So you have for loop and you have while loop, right? So here, is there a question? Someone raised their hand. Is there a question? If there's a question, please put it in the chat. Again, because of last week, I had muted everyone. Let's see if it's less chaotic. I'll try to unmute people later on. Okay, I don't think there's a question. So some of you had already mentioned this, that for loop and while loop are there. So usually this is the usual way to understand the difference between these two is for loop is used when the number of iterations is known. For example, if you want to run a piece of code 10 times or 1 million times, you know that it will run for 10 times. Then I will use a for loop. Whereas while loop is used when I want to keep running a code until something is wrong. I don't know how many iterations. It could be 20, it could be 30. I don't know what is the exact number. So that's where I use a while loop. But don't, this is not a very strict definition. Every for loop program can be written in a while loop program, and every while loop program can also be written in a for loop program. So it really comes down to what is your particular interest. So remember that programming is a very creative endeavor, right? When the way you solve a problem is not going to be the same as how someone else may solve a problem. So that's why it's so important for you to write your programs yourself. I will show you some programs today. I might have solved them in a particular way, but you may remember some other, you may approach the problem from a different way. But as long as we get the same result, as long as it works correctly, every answer is fine. Okay, so this is where the creative aspect of programming is really important, and that's why I'm stressing again and again. You have to write your own programs. That doesn't mean you ask Chat GPT to write them. That means you write the program. Okay. So this is a trial for you. Write a program to print the sum of the first n numbers using a for loop and a while loop. And during doing this exercise, you can actually see what is the basic differences between a for loop and a while loop. So I'm not going to go into this now, but please do this later when you have time. So now coming to, we know how the basic structure of a program, we can use if else condition, we can use loops if we want to iterate, but what about the data that we are going to operate on? So there are different data types in computer programming. So some of them are shown here. So for example, you have functions, which are lines of code that you can call in a container, and they may return some value. Apart from that, you have the numbers that you are storing. So your numbers may be integer numbers, in which case they are not decimals. If they are decimals, we call them floats. There are also complex numbers, which you may remember from your mathematics. Apart from that, when you have words, for example, those are called strings, and every string is made of a number of characters. So, character is a single alphabet, whereas a string is a collection of letters. I think you have already gone through this in your lectures. I'm just giving you a recap. Apart from that, another important thing, especially in the context of if else condition, loop, etc., are Boolean values. Boolean values are variables that take only two values, 0 or 1, or true or false. So they just give you a true or false value for a statement. So these are basically the different data types in Python itself. So your primitive types are your integer, float, boolean, string, none, which means that nothing is there. Other than that, you also have containers, which are collections of variables. So for example, a list is something like an array. If you guys are familiar with arrays, which can collect multiple integers or multiple strings or multiple floats. Dictionary and tuples are also similar things. We'll come to that later when we do those data types in detail, and why those are required as opposed to list. List is the most basic way to contain data. It's in an array where there's a collection of numbers or characters or something like that. Okay, and when you want to operate on the data, you have to use multiple operators. So these are some of the different types of operators that are present in Python. So for example, you have your standard arithmetic operators like addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Then you have the relational operators which relate to quantities. So this is less than, greater than, and other things. Logical operator are when you have to do these, when you work with Boolean values. So whether logical operator will evaluate something to true or false. Apart from that, you have bitwise operator, which are also the same as logical operator. So this is and, or, very much less than the other things. Other than that, you also have the assignment operator. Now, assignment operator is something where, suppose you want to write something like a is equal to a plus 1, you can just write it as a plus equals 1. Or a is equal to a minus 1 will be a equal to a minus equals 1. So that's what assignment operator is all about. So whoever asked about the PDF, as I explained in the beginning, everything is being available to you. Please pay attention to the class. Don't worry about recording and PDF. It will all be available to you. I am taking these classes for you only. Okay. So I'll explain at the end again about the PDF and other things. Please pay attention to the class for now. Don't get distracted by other things. Okay, so this is a more explanation of logical operators because you may be familiar with all the other kinds of operators from mathematics, but these may be kind of new to you. So a logical operator, there are three types: and, or, and not. And is true if both the statements are true, or is true if any one of the statements are true, and not reverses the result. If A is true, then not A is false. If B is false, then not B is true. So just to see if you guys can understand, I have given um, four cases here, and I just want you guys to put the answers in the chat right now. So I don't think this should take more than a few seconds. So the answer is actually on the screen because I have given the definitions also. So just write the answers to these four questions in the chat now. If possible, write for all four together, then it will be good. Okay, good. Someone has written an answer. Okay, good. I'll give one more minute in case people are still writing. Okay, I think many people are getting the correct sequence, which is good. So false, true is the correct sequence. Many of you have got. If any of you are having different answers, just compare the question with this diagram on the left. For example, true and false. I know that true and will give true only if both are true. So since this is false, that will also give false. So like this, you can check all of them. The answer is actually here, right here in this diagram. So just compare both of them and you will understand. Okay, so with that, the recap of the lecture is done. So let's try to do some MCQs. So as with last week, I'll show you the question and I want all of you to put the answer in the chat and then we can discuss the answer. Okay, so please try to put the answers in the chat and let's discuss. Okay, so this is a statement. If a variable is assigned a value once, the value in the variable cannot be changed in the variable. Okay. So this is a statement. You have to tell me whether this is false or true. And then there is some statements along with it. So please put which option is correct in the chat. Okay. I can immediately see some people are answering B. Okay. One person says D. Okay. Most of you are saying B. Let me just, if anyone is giving. So I can see majority of people say B, but some people seem to be saying D. Okay, majority of you are saying B. So I'll go to the answer. Yeah, most of you are correct. The answer is in fact B. So whenever you assign a variable to a value to a variable, you when if you update that value later, the value that you updated at the latest point is only going to be in the variable. So you have to be very careful when you write programs that you're updating to the correct variable first of all, and and that value is exactly what you want to update, because it will not, once you update it, it will forget about whatever came before. Okay, so those of you who wrote D, it's not true. So we can just do a quick example and I can show you. So can you guys see my terminal? I'll just try to increase the. So I'm just going to Python. I'll just show you a very simple example. Suppose I create a variable called A with 54, and then I update it saying that A is equal to now hello. If I now print A, it's going to be hello. It's not going to be 54. So the value of the variable can change. And one thing about Python is that it does not have something called, it does not have this restriction that those of you who have worked with C or C++ might know, which is that every variable has to be initialized with a data type. So if a variable is initially an integer, I cannot just change it to a string later. Whereas in Python, that is not the case. You can see that even though I initially had given an integer, I later changed it to a string and it didn't cause any error. So this is one of the ways in which Python is very flexible, but this is also a very dangerous thing, because that means that if you're not careful about your program, you can always update it or something like that without you knowing, and you may even change what kind of data is being stored. So you should always be very clear about what are the variables in the program and where are they changing. And by mistake, if you use the same variable name for two things, Python will not tell you that there's an error, but when you run it, you will see that there might be an error. Okay. Okay, great. Next question. So I want to print the statement: Ramesh talks to Suresh and Kamlesh. Okay, and which of the following codes prints that? Now this is a multiple select question, which means there are multiple answers which may have which are correct. Not only one option is correct, multiple options are correct. Oh, okay. Someone says that the screen is not visible. From my side, there's no issue. Okay, please check your internet. I think screen is visible to everyone. So here again, multiple options are correct. So don't just give the first option you think. There are multiple options. So I can see that most of you are saying A and C. A and D. Okay, most of you seem to be saying A, C, and D. Okay, majority people are saying A and D, and some of you are saying C also. Okay, maybe we can go to the answer. I think most of you are correct that, okay, wait, sorry. Yeah. So the answer is actually A, B, and C. And I think I saw only one person actually give this answer. So can anyone tell me why D is not a valid answer? No, the answer is A, B, and C. So why do you think D is not valid? Space is missing. Exactly. So someone has given the answer, space is missing. So someone is not able to understand why is a comma correct. So let's try to run all of these and then we can get a better idea. Okay, instead of me explaining. So let's, again, I have my Python here. So, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So let me first give the first option and then we can see if that is correct. That I think everyone realizes is correct. Okay. So the first option obviously gives me what I want, right? Ramesh talks to Suresh and Kamlesh. Now let's try to give the second option. So Ramesh talks to. So when you give a plus like this in between two strings, it's called concatenation. I think someone had mentioned that in the thing. So you can see that using a comma does not have any issue. It does give me the expected output even if I use a comma. Now let's try the third one. So you can see that when I use a comma, I don't need to explicitly give a space. Whatever is given after the comma, it prints with the space already, right? Now the last option if I give, it's Ramesh talks to, and then plus Suresh and Kamlesh. So here you can see that because I didn't give a space here, it just printed it together. Whereas in the same question, if I had just given a comma, it'll automatically give a space. So this is about how the print statement works. Okay. So I hope now all of you are clear with it. B does not include spaces, but B, we just printed it, right? This is B actually. Whenever you use comma, a space is automatically included. So you don't have to take my word for it. Whenever you have doubts like this, just go into Python and just write it and see yourself, right? Okay, great. There is no WhatsApp group for this course. Please follow the information that is given to you on the NPTEL website. Okay, fine. So here is the next question. What are in the correct ways to inform Python that input is a decimal point number? Okay. Anyway, again, this is a multiple select question. So there are multiple answers that are possible. I ran the Python programs just in my terminal because they were simple statements. You can, of course, use an environment to do it. Okay, fine. So read the question carefully. What aren't the correct ways? That means I'm asking for incorrect ways. I am not asking for the correct way. Okay, okay. I can see now people are saying A, C, D. Some people are saying B. Seems like people know that A is correct. Sorry, A is one of the correct options, but others are confused. C and D also people are saying, but I can also see some B's. Okay, I'll give one more minute in case you guys are still answering. Okay, let's go to the answer. I think some of you have got it correct, which is A, C, and D. B is a correct statement. So again, the question is a little tricky. Always read the question carefully. Here I am asking what are not the correct ways. So I need the incorrect statements. So let's see. First of all, A is definitely wrong because A has a typo. There is no such thing as in. So let's check C and D quickly to see what is the thing. So suppose I give, let me just come out of this. So okay. So now if I give, for example, A is equal to, let's give the last option and see. So it asks me for some input. So let's give a decimal number. Now if I give A is equal to int of A, it gives an error because it says that int is not, cannot be a decimal. So similarly, if I just give int of input and then I give a decimal, that's also going to give me an error. So that's why this is wrong. So whenever you have decimal, you have to use float. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. I think this is fairly basic stuff. Again, if you don't understand any of these programs, please go and do. Where can I run the Python programs? Which application do I need to install? So I think this was covered in the class, right? But basically, you need to first download Python itself into your system. After that, you can just run it in your terminal. You can also run it in VS Code or any IDE that you have. Spider. If you download Anaconda, that comes with a few like Jupyter notebooks and other things that you can use to run. I think Anaconda, if you install, that comes with Spider as well. But yeah, I you can use anything. So you saw that you can also use an online compiler, correct? You will saw that once you have Python installed, you can even run it in your terminal, which is what I did right now. Right? You just need this thing. So it's better for terminal for quick checks like this. But if you want to write a program with multiple lines and all, better to use VS Code or Spider or something like that. Okay. Okay, great. Next question. What is the output of the following Python code snippet? The user inputs 25. Look at the code carefully. What is the output of the? Okay, I think majority of people are saying A. I'll give one more minute in case people are still answering. Okay, someone saying 100% A. Okay, good. Most of you are saying A. The answer is actually A. So because this string, and whenever you have an input, the input value is always stored as a string. So essentially when we do A plus B, we are concatenating both the strings, and that's why the value is 25. I think there shouldn't be any doubts in this. I'm not going to run this in Python and show you. I think it's very clear what the program is. So very good. Most of you said A, which is the correct answer. Very good. Okay. Which loop is used to perform set of repetitive tasks without a condition by default in Python? Without a condition. Okay, the answer seems that there's not a majority right now. I see that all kinds of answers are coming out. Okay. Okay, now I think that most people are saying B. Uh, right. So the answer is actually B. Usually, if you want to do a set of conditions without a condition, sorry, what am I saying? If you want to do repeat a set of code without a condition, you use for loop, because for while and do while you need to actually provide a condition that is evaluated. Whereas for you can just give for I is equal to this, run this thing, right? Whereas a explicit condition is not required. So that's why for is used when you know the number of iterations in advance. But as I said, this is not really a very strict distinction. Any program you can write with a for loop, you can write with a while loop, and any program you can write with a while loop, you can write with a for loop. While range loop does not exist. Okay, so it is just a why a while range loop is a nonsense answer. It does not exist. It's just to confuse you. Okay. Okay, fine. I think this is understood by everyone. Next question. What happens when the condition inside if and while evaluate to false? I don't know if you're giving for this. It will not execute infinitely. For, you can just give it like 1 to 10. It will run 10 times and will stop. So what's the answer to this question? Okay. B. I can see a lot of B's in the answer. Okay. B and C. Okay. One person also says B. Okay. I'm giving 1 more minute in case people are still answering. Okay. I see that people are answering both B and C, but I think that B is the majority answer. So again, I'll move to the answer. This should be fairly straightforward, and I explained it in the beginning of the class also. If the condition inside if and while are false, then it won't execute that, right? It will ignore that and it will continue from whatever is after the if and while. If the condition is false, then it will definitely not execute the if and while program, if and while part of the program. So this is the correct answer. Okay. I hope this is clear to everybody. If you don't understand this, again try writing a program or go back to the definition of if and while. Then it will be clear to you. This is just the definition of what an if condition is, what a while loop is, which we discussed in the beginning. Okay, great. Next question. What does this code do? So this is the code. What does it do? One of the options is correct. Please give the correct option. Okay, I can see many people saying A, but some people are also saying C or B. But majority seems to be saying A. There is only one. There is only one correct option. Okay, so the answer is actually, so I'll go to the answer now. Majority of you are right. It is actually A. So first of all, one thing to very importantly to keep is that whenever you have range of something to something, the last number is not counted. Range means it will only count to before that number. Okay. So when I put range of 1 to 11, that actually only goes from 1 to 10. It does not count 11. Okay. So that's very important. The other thing is, what is the difference between A and C? Here, basically, it's not the correct answer because it actually only it prints each multiplication. It does not just print the final product. It prints a n into I is equal to this, right? So it, for example, if n is 3, it will print 3 into 1 equals 3, 3 into 2 equals 6, etc. If you guys have doubt about this, you can go again after the class, go and write these lines in a Python interpreter and you will find out what it is. Okay. Okay, I don't think there are any doubts in this question. Again, if you have doubts, write the code, you will get the answer. Next question. What does this code do? Okay, someone has a doubt. Let me try to unmute you then. I'm not sure. Yeah, okay, I'm allowing mic for you who had asked. Yeah. What is your doubt? Please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Alok Munshi, and I had taken some classes for Python in my school.
Okay.
And there I learned that there was some loop like while range. Like
Okay,
we can
okay.
write while I is in range 5, while I
Oh,
in range 5 as well.
yeah, yeah. So that's not, so range is there even in this for loop, right? For
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
so range is a different thing. Range can be there even without a loop. Range just means I have an array of numbers. Okay. Whereas when I say while loop, that means a very specific thing. For example, okay, while range, there is no such thing. So there are only three kinds of loops. Yeah, you can write a while statement using range, but that does not its own category. That is still a while loop. Okay. I hope this clears your doubt. Yeah, I'll show you the
Yes, ma'am,
question again.
understood. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. Fine. Fine. Good. So this is a question. I'll give you some time to answer the question. This is a question that we were currently doing. Okay, I can see that many of you have said A. Maybe we can go to the answer. The answer is in fact A. So again, this is the same program as before, except this is written with a while loop, whereas the previous question was written with a for loop. So that's what I said, that every program you can write with a for loop, you can write with a while loop, and vice versa. So these two things are equivalent. Okay. Some programs are easier to write in a for loop, some are easier to write in a while loop, but broadly these are basically the same thing. Okay, next question. What does this code do? Read the code carefully and put the answer in the chat. So there may be multiple answers correct here. Okay, I can see most of you are saying A. There is multiple answers correct here actually. Just check once. Okay, good. A and B. A and B. Right. So I'll just go to the answer. So the answer is actually A and B. The factorial is nothing but the product of numbers from 1 to now. So these two are saying the same thing. So this is how you calculate the factorial of a number. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. I think there is not much doubt. Let's go to the next question. So an integrated development environment or IDE is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to computer programmers for software development. Which of the following is an IDE? Okay, again, multiple answers could be correct. Please put your answers in the chat. A, B, and C, A, B, and C. Very good. Okay, I think this is a very obvious question. So we can just go to the answer. Most of you have got it right. The answer is actually A, B, and C. So these are all three environments where you can use Python programs. So this is not Python itself. PyCharm, Spider, and VSC are softwares where you can actually sit and write the program, but you need to install Python separately. C# is a programming language on its own. Okay, great. Next question. Okay, so now this is the next question. For which of the following values of name and age variables does the following code print you are lucky? So look at the code carefully. There are multiple if conditions and there's a loop also. And this is a multiple select question. So there are multiple answers which are possibly correct. What does flag do? That's what you have to figure out in the program, right? Look at flag is a variable which stores some value. Okay. So put the answers in the chat. Yeah, your assignments can have multiple answer questions as well. Okay, people are saying A and B, A and D, A and B. Most of you seem to be saying A and B. A, B, and D. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go to the answer. The answer is actually A and D. So does anyone want to tell me why B is not correct? Because many of you have said, some of you are still writing A, B, and D. Why is D not correct? Two A's are not there. Exactly. So basically here they check two things, right? First, the age has to be greater than 18. Then the flag is set to true. Okay. After that, you're counting how many A's are in the name. So you're going through each character in the name and counting how many A's are there. So only if the flag is true and you have a counter greater than or equal to 2, which means you have more than 2 A's in your name, then only it will print you are lucky. Okay. So this is something called a nested if loop, where first this has to be correct and then further one more condition is checked. So if I want to print this also has to be true, this also has to be true, and this is what is called a nested if loop. Okay. So first of all, Akash 16 is not printed because the first flag itself is false because age is not above 18. In Arjun's case, age is above 18, but Arjun only has one A in his name, and that's why the print statement does not work. Okay, so there are two conditions you have to keep in mind, not just one. Okay, next question. The same program, for which of the options among the previous question, the program doesn't print anything? Please put your answers in the chat. Okay, I can see people saying B, B or C. Okay. B and C, some people are saying. Okay. So I'll go to the answer. I think people are confused between B and C. The answer is actually only B. Again, the question is, for which of the options the program doesn't print anything. In the case of C, even though it doesn't print you are lucky, it still prints you are not lucky because the flag is true. Whereas in Akash's case, the flag itself is not true. So neither of these statements are printed. Okay. So that is why the answer is B. Is this clear to everyone? Okay, great. So yeah, again, all of these questions, if you have doubts, I would highly encourage you. The code is there. Just write it up and see. Then your doubts will be clear. And whenever you write a program, try to always try to predict what it's doing. That's what these programs are doing. But also write down. You can use a pen and paper. Write down what each way, how many variables are there, how they are changing, and all that. That can also help you. Then just seeing is great. Sorry. Mm. Okay, fine. Okay, great. So, anything, can we write this in Anaconda software? So, Anaconda is not a software, it's a package, it's a distribution. So, that means that Anaconda contains many things within it. In Anaconda, if I remember correctly, when you install Anaconda, you also get Spider, Jupyter, or any of these things. You can write it in any of those things. The other thing is, you can also use online compilers. I don't use them, so I'm not very familiar, but I'm sure some of your classmates will know. Just search Python online compiler and use one that works for you. Yeah, you can also use Google Colab. Yes, Google Colab also works. Fine. So those are the MCQ questions. So now in the next 1 hour before the class ends, let's try to do some programming assignments. I have 5 questions, but let's try to do at least three. Okay. So again, I'm going to give you some time to write the program, and I want you guys to sincerely write the program. The point of this class is so that you guys can try writing programs on your own. So I'll give you some time and then we can see the answer together. Okay, that's what we'll do. Great. Okay, so now let's go to the first question. Okay, so first question is this: create a Python program that calculates the sum of the squares of the first n natural numbers. The program should prompt the user to input a number n, then compute and print the sum of squares from 1 to n. Okay, so this is what the Python program is. So please try to write it. I'll give you like 10 minutes. I think this is not a very hard program, but please try to write all the steps alone. Don't use ChatGPT or Google or something. Try to write it on your own. Otherwise, you will not learn programming. Okay, someone says they enrolled in the course yesterday and I think you meant missed the week 1 and 2 classes. Don't worry about it. The recordings are still available. They don't expire. My class recordings are also available. I'll explain the links at the end. So just go back and watch the videos. There is nothing more guidance to give you on this. Okay, so please try to write the code, and then you don't have to paste the code in the chat, but maybe you can calculate it for 4 and tell me what the answer is for 4 from your program, not just by calculating it. Okay, so write a program and give a test case like 4 and then tell me what the answer is. I'll give you 10 minutes to solve. Vivek, no, that's not the question, right? We don't want the square of a number. We want the sum of squares of the numbers, right? From 1 to n. So if I enter 4, it should calculate sum of the squares from 1 to 4. It's okay, you guys can take your time. I'll give you a few more minutes to solve. I'll give you 10 minutes. So try solving the question and give your answers. Okay, you don't have to give the code in the chat. Okay, fine. Fine. If you're so for 4, the answer should be 30. I think Alok has got it. So please, all of you, check if the answer is 30 with 4. Yeah, I want all of you to try writing your own code for this. Okay, I don't want you guys to look at these things. What's this? Okay. Anyway, can those of you who are trying the code on your own, can you please raise your hand? It's okay if you've not got it yet, but at least if you're trying it on system. Okay, good, good. Others also please try. Uh, Not just these people, but yeah, I can see that around 20 people are raising their hand. That's very good. Okay, so yeah, you don't have to write your code in the chat. It's fine. Just check it for 4. For the number 4, it should be 30. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry. Here's a question. So I think many of you have got it. I'll give you 2 more minutes and then maybe I'll show you my solution and we can discuss. Okay. Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute in case someone is still solving. But then I'll show you the solution because I can see that many of you have already solved it. That's good. Other people, if you've not been able to solve it, don't worry. Just keep trying. And then in the meantime, I will also show you the solution. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the solution that I have. Let's just discuss very quickly. I think this is a simple program, so all of you should have been able to do it. So, okay. So is my screen okay? I think the font size and everything is okay, right? So, yeah. Okay, so here I have done it in 2 ways actually. So you can see that, yeah. So you can see that first of all, we get the input of the variable as an integer. Then you can do it using a loop. So you can see that j in range n plus 1. So why do I have to give n plus 1? Because as I said, if you give range of n, it doesn't consider the last number. So I want the last number to be included. And then I'm just adding with that. Otherwise, I can also use the built-in sum function and these two will give me the same result and that I can show you now. So what was the number I told you to check was 4. So if I just give 4 here, you can see that I get 30 in both cases. So this is what I mean by this fact that programming is very creative. You would have seen, even in the chat, all of you are, all of you have solved it the same program but in different ways. So here also I have shown you 2 ways to do the same program. So that is where. So there is some issue called real time text, I guess. Let me just go and check it. What is this? So I don't know what this is. This is the first time I'm also seeing it. Okay. 1 second. Let me try to disable this real time text thing. Hmm. Okay, somehow I can't find the option to disable it. I'll do it from next time, but I don't know what this is. I have not. Mm, okay. Yeah, there's an option to open it in another screen. Maybe you guys can try that. I'm not sure what this is about. This is the first time I'm seeing it in Teams as well. Okay, I'm really sorry about it. I don't know what this is. Okay, let's go to the next question. And I don't know about this. I'm sorry. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how to remove this. Okay, maybe I'll just do a quick Google search otherwise. Hmm. Okay, there is some meetings, event policies. Okay. I couldn't find the setting. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Let me check after the meeting. I'll disable it before our next meeting. But right now, I'm not able to change it. So please, guys, stop using this type real time thing. You can, yeah. Okay, fine. So let's go to the next program. So I hope all of you understood the previous program and it's fine for you. So let's go to the next program. Yeah, okay. Someone has said that open it in another window and minimize that window. So try doing that. Okay. I'll try to disable it before the next class. Okay. And I've not seen this before. I'm sorry about the disturbance. Anyway, so this is the next program. You have to accept two positive integers m and n as input. There are two cases to consider. If m is less than n, then print m as output. If m is greater than or equal to n, then subtract n from m and call the difference diff. Then if difference is greater than or equal to n, then subtract n from diff. Update value of diff with the result of the subtraction. Keep doing this operation until diff is less than n. You have to print the value of diff as output. So this set of steps, if you look at it carefully, it's not some arbitrary set of steps. It's actually a very important mathematical operation that you might have come across already. So do you try doing the program, and then maybe while doing the program you will realize what operation 2 is actually doing and what this operation is called in mathematics. So I'll give you 10 minutes. Please try the program. Okay. Is this fine for everyone? Do you guys understand the question? I'll give you 10 minutes. Please try doing. I don't know what you mean by m is equal to 3. Okay, you're giving some values. M is 3 and n is 4. Okay. This is not exactly division. Those of you who are saying division, this is not exactly division. You try writing the program and see if it's giving you division. Okay, someone has given the answer in the chat. This is clearly an AI generated answer. I would like it if you wrote your answers yourself. Okay. Uh, Please know that using AI is not going to get you anywhere. Please use your natural intelligence. So very good. Someone said modulus operator. This is exactly what a modulus operator is. If someone doesn't know what a modulus operator is, it is something that prints the remainder. So for example, if I have 5 modulus 2, the answer will be 1 because the remainder of when you divide 5 by 2 is 1. Okay. Good. So please try. I hope you guys are trying the program. You can give that example which I said 5 and 2, and you can see if you get 1. I'll give you 5 more minutes to solve this program. I hope people are trying it on their own. How many of you are trying it? Can you raise your hands? I mean, okay, some people's hands are already raised. Okay, good. Others also please try. If you don't have a computer or Python right now, you can at least try to get the logic, right? How to write the program. You can try to at least draw a flowchart of it. Okay, good. Someone has given an answer. I'll give you guys 2 more minutes to do the answer. If anyone else is still trying, I'll give 2 more minutes. Good. So you can see that someone has given with an example when m is 5 and n is 8, output is 5. That makes sense because 5 divided by 8 would give a remainder of 5. So that is why this is the modulus operation. So the latest answer, it's not, it should be a while loop. Okay, sorry, not the latest answer. The one sent by Devi Karan. Check your question because I think you should have a while loop and not just an if, because you have to keep repeating the operation until the answer becomes less than n, until diff becomes less than n. Okay, so just check it. Check if, for example, 5 and 2 is giving 1. Okay. Good. So I think most of you have done, some of you have at least given the solution, given a try. Others who have not tried, please make sure you're trying. Okay. Only when you make mistakes will you learn about these things. So I'll just go to my solution. Okay. So again, here you can see that M is for getting the input. If M is less than N, we are just printing M, which is output for condition 1. Then diff is the difference of both the numbers. And then the loop, because we have to keep subtracting it, right? And you can see that you can write it either as diff. And by the way, whenever I have these hashtag kind of lines, those are called comments. So those are where I've explained what the program does. So remember in the beginning of the class, I told you what are good coding practices to write comments. So that's why I write comments in my programs. You also should do the same. Anyway, so here you can see that you can either write diff is equal to diff minus n, or you can use this diff minus equal to n and finally print diff. But this is actually what is exactly the modulus operation. So if I give a print m mod n, sorry, this program itself. I just get what the thing does. So we can check that right now. So I had said 5 and 2, right? So you can see that by evaluating using this if else condition, I get 1. By just printing m percentage n, I also get 1. So this percentage is how Python calculates a modulus operation. So you can just do this whole thing. This whole code that you wrote right here is just there in the percentage. But it's good to know these things so that you understand what exactly is happening. Okay? I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, so again, you can't just use if loops. You need to use a while condition here because you need to repeat this until diff becomes less than n. Okay, this is clear to everybody. Shall I move to the next question? Any doubts at this stage? Okay, I think it's clear. If you have any doubts, please put it in the chat. And if you want to unmute, just mention in the chat and I'll give you mic access. I'm just not giving everybody because last week it was very disturbing. And there's a huge number of people in the chat. So if one person unmutes, it becomes a very chaotic thing. Anyway, this is the next question. Write a Python program to calculate the arithmetic mean. Okay, arithmetic mean is nothing but the average of n numbers, rounding the result to the nearest integer. The program should first take a single line of input containing n space separated integer numbers and then output the rounded mean of these numbers. So please put the answers. I mean, please try the program. You don't have to put the answer in the chat, but just try the program. And maybe you can give, let's see, let me see. You can give 1, 2, 3, 4 as the thing. Just give 1, 2, 3, 4 as your four numbers and tell me what you get as the mean. So again, you have to get the rounded mean, okay, not just the mean. Yeah, okay. Using the round function is perfectly fine. So are people trying this out? Would you please explain if for condition 2 in the previous? Okay, after this question, I'll explain question 2 again. Sure. So how many of you guys are trying the question? Please raise your hand again. Okay, good. Good. Others also please try. I can see that the same people are only trying every time, but please, yeah. There are like 200 people in the meeting, but only 20 people keep raising their hands for trying the questions. So I don't know if you guys are actually trying or not. So please try it if you're not. Okay. Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes. Has anyone got the answer yet? So I asked you to check for 1, 2, 3, 4, right? No, no, I don't want you to write 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. I want you to accept input from the user and then do it. You can't, no. You have to accept. See, the program should first take a single line of input containing n space separated integers. So please do it with an input function. What you did is correct, but I don't want every time to calculate 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to calculate for other averages also, right? So that's where. Yeah, you need to use a list, an array, which is a list in Python, as I said in the beginning. Okay, maybe we can go to the answer. I can see that some of you have already sent programs. Others, if you're working on it, please continue, but I will just, for want of time, just go to the answer. Okay. So here first let's understand this line by line. Okay. So first here you have taking input from using input for taking input as a string using the input function. So oh sorry. So here you can see that in the question they asked us that take a single line of input containing n space separated integer numbers. So whenever an input is taken, Python always stores it as a string. Okay, or that is as a number of characters, not as integer. So we'll have to take the input, then we'll have to convert it to an integer. So let's see how to do that. So first of all, you can see that we are taking the input as a string, as usual, separated by space. Then we are going to use this function called split. So one nice thing about using Visual Studio Code, VSC, which is what I use, is when you hover over these things, they'll give you the definitions themselves. So you can understand it. So one thing that you have to get used to in computer science is that you have to keep looking up things, okay? Nobody remembers everything as it is. It's not about memorization. It's about knowing some basic things, but you can always look them up. And this will become more clear when we start looking at other libraries and other things like that. So here, for example, split is a string function, and you can see that it returns a list of the words in a string using separation or space. Space is the default one as the delimiter, which means that space separates each of these things. So because we have a space separated list, we can just give split. If our list was comma separated, we have to tell Python that look for commas and then split it like that. And you can see that also I make a list out of the numbers by putting integer of number for number in my list. So each of these number strings, because this again gives me an output as a string, each of them I have to convert to a number because then only I can add and take average and other things. Okay. So then I'm just printing the list. Here we can use the built-in sum and length function of a list. So sum just gives you the sum of the elements in the list. Len gives you the length of the list. And if I just do a division of these two, that gives me the average. And then of course I can round it using the round function, which already someone had mentioned. Sorry, this is from the previous program. Printing the round rate. Okay, so this, of course, here I use some built-in functions, but you can do this with loops and without using built-in functions. So please try doing this program without built-in functions as well. So let's try doing this here. So let me give 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see that the list is 1, 2, 3, 4. The average is 2. It's actually 2.5, but because of the round function, it rounds it to 2. Okay. Okay, fine. Fine. Is this clear to everyone? Is this program fine with everyone? Any doubts? Okay, I think it's clear to everyone. That's great. Let's go to the next question. I'm totally new about Python. I cannot write programs. Okay, so please go and watch the lectures where they introduce how to start writing programs. After that, these are all very basic programs. You can just start looking at them and you can start to understand how to write programs. First thing is that, as I said last week, writing a program and programming list both are different. Okay, okay. Someone says, please explain how to insert number and list. So let's look at the program again. So here, first of all, this input that we are taking is stored in this list, and then we are sorry, it's just stored as a string. Okay, so if you want to really see this, and this is something I recommend, if any of you want to understand any program that you don't understand, is just give print statements for all the variables, then you'll understand what's actually happening. So let's just give print input str here, and let's give print my list here. And then let's give another print my list here. And let's see what exactly is happening. Okay. So let me again run the program. So you can see that first of all, it's stored the first time when you take the input, it's just stored as 1, 2, 3, 4 just as a string. Okay. It doesn't know that these are numbers. It just thinks that it's a word. Then what happens is when I use split, split takes each element which is separated by a space and stores it into a list. So split, you can see the definition here. Split basically returns a list of the words in a string using separation as the delimiter. Okay, that means that it sees that one and then it's separated with two. So one gets stored as one element, two gets stored as one element, three gets stored as one element, and four gets stored as another element. But you can see that they are in quotes, which means they are considered to be characters, not numbers. And that's why I have to do this extra step of converting everything into an integer. So once I do this step, I get everything to be number. Suppose I didn't have this step. Suppose I had just given it like this. I'm just commenting out those lines. And suppose if I just run the program again, it gives me an error because it says that I cannot add numbers together like this. I cannot take a sum of sum of the string variables. I can only take sum of numbers, right? So that's why this conversion is important. I hope this is clear to you, whoever asked. Don't use AI to write programs. Please learn programming. If you're using AI, you're not writing the program. Google is writing the program, or Gemini or Chat GPT or whatever. I'm very strict about this. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay, and then someone, I just remembered someone had asked something about the previous question. So let's just quickly look at that and then I'll go to the next question. So don't worry, guys. I had planned to discuss 5 questions, but in case it's not possible, I'll be sharing the slides and all the programs, all the Python files in the Google Drive. Please don't look at the programs first. Please try to write them on your own. Again, if you don't do this, you're the loser. So I don't know what to say. Okay, anyway. So this is a question, right? So here there were two conditions. One, the first condition is straightforward, m is less than n, then print m. The second condition is that you have to take this variable called difference, which is a subtraction of m minus n, and then you have to keep on subtracting until and keep updating the value of diff until diff becomes less than n. So because I have to keep doing something, that's why I need to use a loop. And that's why in this case, you can see that in the else, I first just define what is diff m minus n. Then I have a loop that continues until diff is, while diff is greater than or equal to n. So the moment diff becomes less than n, it comes out of the loop. So that's how to use this. That's how this program works. I hope the person who had asked it is clear. If not, just go through the program. You will be able to understand. It's not very difficult. Okay. Let's go to the fourth question now. I hope everyone is clear with everything. Any problems? Okay, I don't think so. So this is a fourth program. Everyone, please try the program on your own and then we'll go to the solution. So this is a Python program that determines the mode of a list of numbers. So can anyone tell me what a mode is? Does anyone know what a mode is? Can anyone tell me? Most repeated, most frequent number, value that appears in most. Exactly. So if you have a list of numbers, the number that appears the most is called the mode. Mostly repeated value. Exactly. So you have to get a list of number and you can yeah. So here you have to take a list of numbers, space separated numbers, like how we did in the previous question, and output the mode. So suppose you have a list that's like 1, 2, 2, 2, 3. Then the mode of that list is 2, because 2 is the number that comes the most in the list, right? And here they are saying that assume that only one mode exists, that you don't have repeated modes. I hope this is clear now. Please try it out. Is it clear? Okay, good, 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 good. Please try it. I'll give you 10 minutes. Are you guys trying it out? Okay. Okay, you did it by importing a library, statistics library. That's fine, but you can also do it without that. At first, I did sorting and got confused what to do now. So you have to check, right, how many times something comes. So this is a little tricky. So maybe I can go to the answer and then we can discuss. So this is a little tricky question. So let's try to understand it together. I'll give like 2 more minutes in case people are still trying, and then we can go to the answer. So you basically have to count how many times something appears. And Python has some nice things to do that. So I'll show you how to do that exactly in the answer. Okay, maybe we can go to the answer. Um, okay. So here you can see that this is the program. So again, this part is common to the previous program we are just doing. So here we are going to use a list function called max. Okay, and this is how I've done it, but I'm sure there are other ways to do it also. For example, by importing the statistics module. But basically, let's see what max does, right? Max returns a biggest item in a list based on some key. Okay, so here the key is that I'm using count. Count just tells you what is the number of occurrences of value. So it tells me which is the member of my list which appears the most. And that's exactly what mode is, right? So that's why this kind of function is very useful. If I just give max of my list, it will just tell me what is the biggest value in my list. But because I say key is equal to mylist.count, it will check which is having the biggest count and not just the biggest value in the list. Okay, so this is the idea. If we just enter 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, what's the issue? Oh, sorry. What is the issue? Why is it? Huh. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm stupid. Okay. Four elements, and then I'll write 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 2, 4. Yeah. So and then the answer is 2. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't read the program properly. So first you have to enter the number of elements. Let's say there are 5 elements. So you can see that the mode of the list is 2, and that's exactly what I get as the answer. Okay. Some reference for basic commands like mode. So I would say that the best way to learn programming is to just take up questions you find interesting and try to solve them. So right now, because you're trying to write the mode program, you would have found out about this max and keyword thing. So like that, just try to do that, and uh, and then do it. Okay, then you can find out how to do it. So there are many websites where they get like collections of basic programs. For example, if you go through a few of those itself, you'll start to realize. So for example, this inputting as a string and then converting into a space separated list into numbers, that we've already used in 2 programs now. So like that, you'll see some common things that you can use in multiple programs. Is this clear to everyone? Does everyone understand? Okay, good. Let's go to, okay, so now I have the last program for today. Let's discuss that. I'll give you some time. Okay. So write a Python program that takes two variables as input from the user, say X and Y. Display the values on screen. Then swap the variable values with each other. The initial value of X must be stored in Y and vice versa. So initial value of X goes to Y, the initial value of Y goes to X. Right? Display these values on screen next. Where can you find practice programs? So I think there are so many websites now that you can get. So there's this what's it called? Geeks something, right? Geeks for Geeks, for example, that has a lot of programs. Just search basic Python programs, you will find it. Okay, some of you have given the solution. I'll give 5 more minutes in case other people are solving. Okay, good. I think most of you have given the solution. So let's see the chat. So let's see the program that I have. So this is the program. So let's first run it and then we'll see what it's doing. Okay, so I'm going to enter the value of x to be 5 and y to be 2. The value of x after swapping is 2 and the value of y after swapping is 5. So let's look at the solution now. You can see that x and y are first inputted from the user, and then we're going to use a third variable, which is a temporary variable. Okay, so why do we need a temporary variable? Because once we say x is equal to y, then the value of x is lost, right? So to ensure that the value of x is not lost, I use a temporary variable, and then the value of x after swapping I get x, value of y after swapping I get y. So this is a very simple way to do it. But can you guys tell me how to do it without using a third variable? So you can also do this without using a third variable. I think some of you had done it, but yeah, one nice thing in Python is that you can also do it like this, which is not true in every language. And I can show you that also, which I didn't include. But yeah, this is one way in which you can do this. You cannot do this in C, for example. Uh, but you can do this in Python. 2, 5 and 2. Again, if I give 2 and 5, 5 and 2. But even without using this thing, you can do it without using a third variable by being a little clever about it. So I'll show you that now. I'll show you the second part of this program. So here, without using a third variable, if I simply just save x to be x plus y and then a y to be x minus y, then that gives me the value because x plus y minus y is x. And then x is just whatever is x minus y, and that gives me y. Does this understand? So here we are not using a third variable. We are just using addition and subtraction operator. This is understood. Let's see if it works. Wait, 1 second. So you can see that it still swaps correctly. So this is the way to do it without using a third variable. Because here essentially when y I say is x plus x minus y, that becomes x plus y minus y. And then here I get x is equal to x minus y becomes x plus y minus y again, which is sorry. Yeah, here y is now x, right? So x minus y. Yeah. Is this clear to everybody? This is the way to do it without using a third variable. Okay, great. So that was actually the programs I wanted to discuss today. I thought we'll take more time, but that's good. So now I'll just, because someone had mailed me about how to submit the questions. Okay, so first of all, as I said, I am not a NPTEL TA. Okay, I am an external person. I am here to solve questions for you to understand further. So I'm not in charge of correcting assignments or exam or anything like that. Okay, so that's the thing. Please don't. If you have questions like about the logistics of things, I would highly recommend that. I think there's this forum, right, where you can question and answer. Yeah. So if you go here, you can actually put in your questions. I'm sure some of you have already done that, and you can see how it happens, right? If you have Python related questions, I can help you with that. But I'm saying that if you have questions related to, say, submitting assignment or exam or these things, I'm not in charge of it. So that's why it's better to ask those people because they are in charge. They have this control of the website. Now, someone had asked me about submitting programming assignments. So, as far as I understand, I'm not going to show you the answer to this question, obviously, that's your job. But basically, you have to write a program such that when the program gets input 1, it gets output 1. And this is like the answer that they expect, okay? So I'll just write a simple program. This is wrong. This is not the answer. Here you have to do the sum of all odd numbers from 1 to n. So I'm not giving you the answer. I'm just writing a simple program that just returns n for every n. Okay. So here you can see that I wrote my program, then I compiled and ran. When I compile and run, you can see that based on what's the output, they pass me. So even though there was some new line character introduced, it still got passed. Obviously, these two are wrong because I didn't write the correct program. But this is how to compile and run in the assignment. Okay. If you have questions beyond this, then you can maybe ask the TAs who are in charge of this. Okay. Is this fine? My answers give correct answers in the software window, but not here. So here you can see that if I just let me just, you can see that, okay, one sec. I'll just take another case so that I can show you what I'm talking about. So here you should actually only let me is it yeah. So the answer should only be one. You should not have the answer is one or something like that. The answer should just be the number one. Okay. So if you give something extra like the expected output is one or some statement like that, then you will not get the answer. Okay. Yeah, you have to write the program here and compile it. Okay. This is clear for everyone. Okay, someone had asked this question, so that's why I explained it. Okay, good. Now that we are at the end of the class, I'll just repeat again. So again, my name is Zinia. So I have my email ID in all the slides that you'll be getting. So please mail me if you have any questions related to Python. Okay, I would appreciate it if you kept it related to the subject material. I can explain those concepts again. Don't mail me on Sunday night and expect me to do something on Monday. That's not going to happen. But if you mail me at some time earlier in the week, I can do that. Okay. That's one thing. Other thing is this is my website. In my website, all of the links will be made available to you. So you will get all the links to so this link, you can give all the links to the videos and also the PDFs of the session. So here you can see this is my page where I maintain the links. If you just go here, you can find the YouTube playlist where also I will be uploading the video after the session. And then you can also find the slides of the session here. So here's the week one. I will also upload the programs. But I will again urge you guys at the end that I'm urging you guys that even though I'll be uploading the programs and they'll be available to you, please try the questions. We did 5 questions today. If you've not tried it in the class, please try it in your own time and try to write the programs by yourself without using AI because that will only teach you programming. Sorry. Yeah. So if you guys miss any class, you can always catch up with the recordings and other things. Okay. So again, I'm saying that if before next class, if you want me to cover some particular topic in this recap or want me to do some specific type of program, please write to me in my mail ID before Thursday. I would prefer it before Thursday because I start making the slides after Thursday. Okay, so try to do that. Don't write to me the previous night and ask me to do something. Okay, fine. Any other doubts about assignments, exams, etc.? I am not, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's that I'm not the correct person because I don't correct the assignments and I'm not the in charge of the website. So I would prefer if you guys do it in the thing. Yeah, exactly. You have to write the correct program until you get the correct output for the correct input test cases. So they have some test cases that they have included, right? Okay. Any other questions or queries? Otherwise, we can end the class for today. Please show the question number 3 and 4. Okay, sure, but you will be getting the slides anyway. So this is question number 3. And this is the solution. I mean, I'll be sharing everything with you. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, sorry, I keep opening this. Okay, you want my mail ID? I can send it to you. So this is my mail ID, and this is my website where I maintain the links. Other than that, you can also, if you can't find the website, you can also go to the NPTEL website, and here you can see this thing, right? Problem solving sessions. If you click here, there's this YouTube link, and then there's the Drive link also. So you can also find it here. Okay, so you can see that last week's class I've uploaded. Obviously, next week's class, sorry, this week's class is not yet over. So after the class, by tomorrow, I will upload everything. Okay. Yeah, you can see previous classes. Okay. I have just spent 10 minutes explaining this, right? Please listen carefully. You can go to my website, right? Here you can see that recordings of the live sessions are in this YouTube playlist, and you can find the slides of the sessions here. Okay, so if you click the links, you will find it. Other than that, even in your NPTEL course page, there is a place called problem solving session recording. If you click that, you will get a Google sheet in which all the links are there as well. So for each week, it will be available. Is that fine? I don't know why people keep asking this question when I keep answering it also, but yeah, I hope this is fine now to everyone. Is this fine to everybody? Yes, okay, good. So I think we can end for today. So yeah, I think good. Thank you for your questions and everything. Please have a nice rest of your week. Okay. See you next week at the same time, Monday from 6 to 8. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.